Clam Boss is down, Spider's down. We're back in AJ's account, trying to go step by step to build him a better account overall. And next up, Dragon. Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and we're back in AJ's account trying to take it step by step to that next level. Now, we already beat Clan Boss, took that down, and improved that team. Then we went on to Spiders, and these are vital things, right? Clan Boss, you get the best rewards. Spider, you have the accessories, the only place to get them in this game, and that's vital to taking your champions to the next level, not to mention getting more silver. So now what we have next on the list is Dragon, and you'll notice I'm going through the account in order of importance, right? Most important thing is Clan Boss. Next thing is Spider. Next thing is Dragon. And this is a really important dungeon to farm, primarily because of one set that is available here. It's the only place to get it. We're talking about speed sets, and speed sets are vital. If you want to have any success in arena, eventually you're going to have to go fast. And in most parts of this game, extra speed is incredibly helpful. You want to build solo champions, guess what you need? A lot of speed. You want to build good Doom Tower teams, guess what you need? A ton of speed. It's just vital everywhere. So having a good farm team is really helpful to advancing your account. So we're going to be looking at his team today that I built for him, and we're going to kind of cover a couple different approaches to taking down Dragon. So even if you don't have his specific champions, which who does, we're going to be offering you some insight and ideas as far as how to build your own Dragon team. So you're going to want to stick around for that. And of course, if you enjoy this series and you want to see the next part of it where we take on the rest of the dungeons, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when those videos are out and you're not missing out. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, Soundstripe link is down below in the pinned comment description of this video. So because this account had already unlocked stage 20, I kind of forgot to preview the team that he was using before. But it was a pretty solid team, right? We were using, I think Seer was in the comp. We were using a couple different champions. It just wasn't finely tuned and wasn't working at a really nice speed tune. So what I did was kind of optimize it just a little bit further, but I don't want you guys just to look at the best OP team that we could put together on this team. I'm going to show you like a slightly alternative version that I put together as well, just by slapping in some champions and showing you the approach that you can take even if you don't have somebody like a Seer on your squad. But stage 20, we were able to open up all the way up to stage 23. Wasn't able to get farther than that with the gear that we have currently, but stage 20 under 2 minutes is a pretty good number, and so I'm very happy with that. The approach that we're using is we're bringing in, actually was using Cardio before, but we can use an Urogrim just as easily. We've got Seer here, we've got Blind Seer here, Draco, and Renegade. Now, this team is not the most optimal team. That's why Blind Seer's in there, because we do need someone to revive champions in case they go down. Ideally, and also just to give us some buffs, ideally we wouldn't have Blind Seer in the squad at all. That would be the ideal thing, but right now we definitely need that. We need a protection, we need to block debuffs to keep our team alive once we get to the dragons. Long term, that would be somebody that we probably wouldn't have on this team whatsoever. But how this works is basically we're going in, we're putting up enough buffs for Seer to rip them all down on that first go through, and then the second go through, Renegade's going to reset our skills and give us enough time to reapply all those buffs and then rip them all down again and take out the enemy. It's a very typical max HP champion approach. This is not the only approach though, right? And once we get to the boss, then we're just applying poisons and letting the poisons do most of the work. Seer's still going to be doing that max HP jazz, but we don't quite have the same kind of buff placement to really be able to take it all down. So it's definitely going to be a process when it comes to that. But that's kind of the approach that we're going to be using. I will show you how to do this without Seer towards the end of this, but let's go ahead and jump in the run and see kind of how it works right now. So as you can see, we get the buffs out from Blind Seer. Renegade's just going to use her A3 to start. We get buffs from Urogrim. We get the decreased defense and weaken from Draco, and then Seer nukes it all down. Second time through, Blind Seer's fastest, so she goes first, but then we get the reset from Renegade. Seer's max HP skill is a 4-turn cooldown. Renegade reduces it by 2. We need 1 extra turn in there, which is fine. Gives us a chance to reapply all those buffs that we need out there, even though the enemy does take some turns because we're not quite as fast as I would like us to be. Again, gear, that's okay, because once it comes back around to Seer's turn, she's going to strip all the buffs and nuke him. We're through that wave in about 30 seconds. We're at the boss, which is great. And then once we're at the boss, it's all about just getting those poisons up as fast as possible, right? And so that's all we're waiting for at this point, is just getting the poisons out as much as we can, as quick as we can. Now with this particular group, because we have Urgrim and we have Draco, there is a chance of over applying the poisons and not being able to place that decreased defense and weaken. But that's the only thing that's actually going to hold up this run. Otherwise, it's extremely fast. And you saw Seer. We're able to strip that down. Now, the dragon puts up that purple bar. And that purple bar is going to, if we don't knock that down, he's going to hit harder. He's going to stun all of our champions. It's a real pain in the butt. So being able to get that down is great. Poisons are a way to reduce that. That max HP hit from Seer is a way to do that, and both are very effective. So however we want to go about it, if we don't have a max HP like a Seer, then we definitely want to go with the poison strategy, and it can be really, really effective. I find it to be one of the most effective ways to get through this, especially early on in your career. So you can see it's almost a minute 40. We're almost there. If Seer can just strip this down, it'll be game, set, and match right there. Minute 43 seconds, almost our best time, pretty close to it, and that's an easy wrap. I know. What if we don't have Seer or a blind Seer? Don't have that kind of comp? Well, it's not crazy hard to beat Dragon 20. It's probably the easiest of all the 4 dungeons at level 20 to take down, regardless of the champions that you have, because there's multiple approaches, right? What are the things that we were talking about, right? We need to be able to survive, right? So bringing in, we had blind Seer keeping us alive and reviving us in that comp. In this one, we have a Syl the Drake. She's really good at, reviving, obviously, but kind of playing that tank role. We can bring in a miscreated monster to help give us ally protection so we survive these hits, give us a nice shield. There's plenty of champions that can do this kind of a role. We had a Vergis built up. That would be a great option here, honestly. Just someone to help keep us alive is all we're looking for. And Urgrim kind of does the same thing with that, with a couple of different heals in his kit. And then the other thing that we want really is just poisons or HP burn, right? So we have a Geomancer on the account. He's in a clan boss build. He's great for this type of a thing because he'll be able to burn the dragon when he hits us, and that's a really good approach. We've got Urgrim out there who obviously can place a lot of poisons, and if built right, can actually solo this boss himself. We don't have that kind of gear on this account, but this is definitely another option as far as style of builds to go, and it can work. And then we can bring in like a Madame Ceres, or one of the champions I would probably use would be like a Tyrell, would be great for this type of a role. Somebody that can bring decreased defense. Now, I can't use Stag Knight because he's weak affinity. I mean, I could use him, but he's not going to be nearly as effective because he's going to be weak affinity against all the waves. And the idea is to get that decreased defense and weaken, or decreased defense, decreased attack for those waves. But a Dux the Pierced, I think that's his name, Dux, he could be really good for this. A Tyrell would be exceptional for this as well. One champion that's exceedingly good, if we didn't want to use like a Geomancer, would be an Aethar. That type of a champion would be really nice, getting some poisons and some decent damage out there. These are all approaches. But the big thing, regardless of the champions we're bringing in, making sure they have enough accuracy to land their debuffs, making sure they have enough speed to take their turns. We're only going to be as successful as our champions taking their turns can be, right? And there's obviously a plethora of legendary champions that would be able to do this type of stuff as good or better than every one of these epics. But the thing is that you don't need crazy legendaries to do it. Now, obviously, I do have good epics on this team, right? They're all top tier. But one of the reasons for that is we don't have the resources to level everybody on this account. So we don't have a bunch of, mid-tier champions on here that, as options that I could bring in to show you guys. But it doesn't really matter, right? You guys, pretty much everybody out there has better champions, right? Because you have more than just Syl the Drake as your legendaries. I know there's some of you that are stuck in RNG hell and haven't gotten there, but the point stands is that you should be able to bring most any champions in and have some success as long as you're filling the appropriate role. It's getting your poisoner, getting your debuffer, getting your crowd control, right? That's something that both Syl and Miscreated Monster are doing with their stuns, and staying alive, right? So Syl, Miscreated Monster, Urgrim, they're the ones providing that. If you can provide those things, then you have the damage, you have the protection, and that's all you need, right? So just making sure you have those speeds, and that's the biggest thing. Speeding your champions up. One of the problems with this team when I first looked at it, everybody's speed was way too low. But this is an effective squad. So let's go ahead, we'll jump to the boss, and I can show you a little bit of that so you can see how effective it is. Okay, so when this kind of team comes to the boss, you can see our goal is to get poisons up as much as possible. That's it, and stay alive. That's all we gotta do, right? So, you know, we don't need to slow the boss down. We just want them to take their turns so that those poisons can tick over and over. This is where Urogrim can really shine. He can be a very good poisoner for you. Obviously not super top tier, but can be really good. And if we get that HP burn from Geomancer, that'll help a lot, right? But right now we're just waiting on that. That's all we got to do. If we can do that, if we can stay alive, not die, we'll be in really good shape. And with the healing from Syl, we're gonna probably be able to do that with the protection from Miscreated Monster. It shouldn't be too much of an issue, just might not be a fast run. But we'll get through it, and we'll get through it consistently. That means I can put it on auto and farm whatever I have to farm, and we'll get the gear that we need. There you go. And it's not fast, it's under 4 minutes, but it's effective. And this is why if you're struggling with this, these are kind of, it's not horribly hard to get through it. You just have to have enough gear to build your champions up to the right spot to be able to survive, and just have patience, and you can take it down. All right, there are a lot of champions that I use for 2 different teams, so let's go quickly over them so you have an idea of the gear that we're looking for. We can start here with Seer. Now, I have Seer in a Savage set. Definitely, if you can do that, it is recommended. You will do considerably more damage. It'll be a lot easier to get through the waves, especially with this set on. As far as the stats go, you can see we have around 143 speed. It is very slow. I would definitely like to speed this up, but you know, we're a little bit limited, obviously, with gear. And also, we need to get the timing right, because I need her to go last in the comp so we can get all those buffs up, get those debuffs out. And because Draco is so slow for our clan boss team, I had to have Seer slower than him. And that was tricky. So that's definitely, you know, keeping the crit rate, crit damage, and all that, while maintaining that speed ratio, right? Making sure that we're just going after Draco. That was a little bit difficult. And so ideally this would be closer to like 170, 180 speed with everybody else going faster. And that would make the whole run a lot smoother and a lot faster. And you notice in that double turn, that time when the enemies get a turn on the second AoE, that would be totally cut out. It would probably shave another 15 seconds off of our run here and just make it a lot more consistent. So you can see the masteries that we use for Seer here. We're just trying to maximize the damage as much as possible and get a little bit more accuracy so she can strip enemy buffs as well, which is a nice little bonus, honestly. But we took her down to Flawless Executioner. We don't have the crit damage really to justify going down Helm Smasher. And again, I always like consistent runs, not just, you know, once, you know, every 50-50 run. So I always try to go Flawless Executioner myself. I think it's totally fine to go down to Helm Smasher. It's a very reasonable approach. But, you know, we're just trying to add more speed where possible, and then just up our damage as much as possible for those hits, and just lower the threshold that we need to make these things work. And that's kind of the goal here. You can see our Blind Seer here, 222 speed, very, very fast. And with 54,000 HP is definitely keeping her alive. More importantly, we have her in Relentless gear, so she can take multiple turns. This is so nice to have for your carry champions, right? The ones that are reviving you, the ones that are protecting you. It's really nice to give them multiple turns so they get their cooldowns back sooner and sooner and sooner. Masteries, we have her going in the offensive tree down here to Giant Slayer, and we have a bunch of support tree stuff here. This is what it was already in. I don't feel like it's worth the gems to re-kit this. I think it's just fine the way it is. We could easily go down the defensive tree and support tree though, using both of those, since her job is not to deal damage but just to stay alive. But getting extra damage hit with that Giant Slayer on bosses is definitely helpful as well. And then we get some of our big boys. You can see Urogrim here. Yeah, we haven't leveled up all of our gear, guys. We're not at that stage yet. We don't have the silver. I don't really necessarily love all the gear we have. And so it's fine not to do that. You don't have to have everything at 16 to make this stuff work. What we do have, 220 speed, which is very fast and very nice and really helpful, especially for a poisoner. 259 accuracy, also something that's really crucial. And then 50,000 HP, again, just to stay alive. That's really our goal here. Now, mastery-wise, this is an interesting one. I did not build this masteries, right? And definitely something I would consider changing up here. If you're going offensive tree to get extra crit rate, that's helpful, right? But honestly, because we're not coming down to War Master or Giant Slayer, the offensive tree is not going to be as useful for us when we're talking about Urogrim. You really only come down the offensive tree if you're going for one of those two damage finishers, right? The tier 6 one. Instead, we're coming down here to Oppressor, and this is actually a really great one. He's getting turn meter buff for every active debuff, basically up to 10%. That's a really nice, I think, bonus to have for somebody like this, because we want him going again and again. He's getting his damage from poisons. We need his cooldowns. We need his turns to happen over and over. I think that's a really smart approach to it. One of the things I might do, though, instead, I like going down the accuracy, turn meter, all this stuff on the support tree I think is pretty good. But I would say, because he's not in a solo build, we don't need Spirit Haste. Hopefully nobody's dying, right? And I would really suggest us probably going down the defensive tree as well here, just to get a little bit more turn meter, coming all the way down to Cycle of Revenge, just to get a little bit more boost and a little bit more survivability as well. Now, we did bring in Geomancer, and this is part of his clan boss team, so the speeds are set. I didn't really want to touch this champion whatsoever. Obviously, there's probably a little bit of room to improve on it all the same, but it was already said and part of his team. I didn't want to mess with it. You can see his stats here. He has enough actually to land his debuff, which is really what we care about, and he's doing pretty decent damage-wise. He's just slow. So if I was building him just for Dragon, more speed, more HP would definitely be my approach. As far as masteries, obviously Clan Boss Mastery going down the support tree and the offensive tree here. Speaking of Clan Boss champions, we did bring in Draco as well. Same kind of situation, not everything's rolled up. Also going very slow. Good crit damage though, so he will hit hard when he hits, and good actually to land his debuffs. Still not quite 100% crit rate, but that's okay. As far as the masteries go, we got him down the offensive tree and the support tree. Again, a very Clan Boss build. We've got Renegade here, and boy, level 50 champion, not ranked up, right? What do we have her doing? 222 speed. That's what we needed. That's all I cared about was the speed. As far as masteries, don't have any. Don't need it. All we need her is to use her A3 skill and cool stuff down. This is my miscreated monster. Obviously got a shield set on. Good accuracy here to land those stuns, and pretty solid speed. I do like that 171 speed. Gets them a chance to go over and over again, and a 100% crit rate to build those shields up. And then we also have Madame Saris here going 174 speed. You can see a little bit of sets going on. Not a lot of accuracy. In fact, way too low. Honestly, I didn't even rebuild this. I just kind of threw her in the team. That's definitely something I would want to build that up for no matter where I'm using her. Accuracy on Madame Saris, definitely helpful. You know, good defense and HP, so she's going to survive. But all her whole thing is putting out those debuffs. So if we don't have accuracy on her, it's useless. Mastery-wise, I do like this setup, right? We're coming down the offense tree to Giant Slayer, and we're going down support tree here to get more turn meter boosts and extend the duration of those debuffs. Personally, one thing I definitely would do is I would definitely come down to Eagle Eye and add accuracy and take off the War Master. Honestly, I'd take off the offense tree altogether. I don't think she needs it, truthfully. And if I end up using her in Arena, that's exactly what I'll do. And we got Syl the Drake here. Relentless gear. Which is so good for your carry champions. 179 speed, a little on the slower side for me. I'd love to have her faster, like I had Blind Seer in like the 220 range. Decent actually at 190, could definitely up that if we want that stun to land. And she's pretty tanky, 40,000 HP, 2,500 defense. The more we can add to that, the better, because she's our reviver. If she goes down, our team goes down. So making sure she stays alive is pretty important. As far as masteries, she's going down the support tree just to add more HP to her kit, and then down the offensive tree here. Now we do have her in Sniper. I think this is to land that decreased speed debuff. Honestly, I would not go down this way. Again, I would ignore the offensive tree. She's not a damage dealer for you. So focus on what she does well. That would be the defensive tree and the support tree. Maybe even coming all the way down to lasting gifts, so the increased speed buff extends for us. I would probably skip Spirit Haste, come over here to Cycle of Magic, or I'd probably skip Sniper, honestly. Maybe get Cycle of Magic to reset her skills a little bit more. There's some options as far as approaches go with this, but definitely defensive tree and support tree. So that's the team. Those are the approaches that I would take to this, right? There's a lot of ways to tackle Dragon. This is just one example of an approach that you can take with it. Or I guess two examples of approaches you can take with it. But there's some really smart teams out there, but this is more designed for people that, you know, just don't have all the champions in the world. You're like, I have champions, which ones do I use for this? Well, this is kind of the idea of how you go about doing it. You need certain champions to keep you alive, right? So getting that ally protection, those shields, those, even the block damage would be great, right? Definitely a reviver, super helpful when things go wrong. Getting a couple champions that can do that for you, and healing, of course. And then you also just need some people that can do damage for you. And if damage means putting poisons on the enemy, then that's what it means. And I think that's a great approach, especially with the boss. Then the hard part becomes the waves, and then you're just trying to optimize, how do I get through the waves faster? And champions like Aethar are really good because they're really good for both. So those are kind of some approaches. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys as you're building your teams and trying to find better ones out there as far as advancing your account in an important area, dragons. So if it was, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one of these videos, which should be coming out tomorrow. We're going to tackle Ice Golem, so stay tuned for that, and until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.